from the nation's summer capital, broadcasting from Cape May to Denton and from Milford to Ocean City or worldwide online. You're listening to Open Source Radio with Don Carpenter on 92.7 WGMD.
That's right, 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. I'm Don Carpenter. I want to thank you for joining me this lovely Sunday afternoon. In case anybody's wondering, Steve is fine. He's having a little bit of a problem with his phone lines, so he's not able to do his normal Sunday show. I promise he will be back next Sunday, or he'll probably end up doing something awful to a phone representative, and I don't think that'll be good for anybody. But let's hope you get back here, Steve. We miss you. And well, with that said, I'm just going to jump right in. I got a bunch of topics. I'm going to be here with you from 3 to 5 today, kind of a short show. So that was such short notice. Just had to come in and kind of, I had some things that I was wanting to talk about all week, so we'll kind of go over some things that I saw during the week that just struck me as interesting. This is usually what my show's about. It's just things that interest me, and hopefully they interest you as well. Not a lot of politics, but actually this week it's almost impossible to not mix politics in with one of the stories. It's the big electric car scandal. Since it is local, I have an interest in it, and it really is kind of it's just a sad story, I guess you could say. But we'll get to that in the second hour. Right off the bat, I just want to talk about Halloween. And about a month ago, I noticed that all the stores, Walmart and Target and Kmart, all the little temporary Halloween stores started popping up, and everybody's selling the Halloween costumes. And of course, they sell costumes for adults now, and Halloween parties are fun. It's fun to dress up like a pirate or a robot or something like that. And I noticed that a lot of these temporary stores have popped up, and with adults having these costume parties, not a problem. I don't know, maybe it's just a sign that I'm getting old, and this is where I want your opinion. 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. Maybe you can tell me if I'm just turning into an old curmudgeon, but the last few years, I've actually left home on Halloween night. So, and it's not just, it's not because I'm too cheap to give away candy for kids. This year, I work at a radio station. I don't have money to spend on $30, $40 worth of candy for kids, but that's beside the point. It's not really the point of the candy being so darn expensive these days. And kids expect full-size bars now. I never got full-size bars. I was lucky if I got an apple without a razor blade in it. But it's not quite as bad down here. I haven't had a Halloween, in my new home yet. So I don't know. I think it would probably not be as bad as when I lived in Wilmington. When I lived in Wilmington, I lived in kind of a bad area, and the kids were rude. Sometimes it would just be adults. Adults would show up at my door, knock on the door. These would be 25-year-olds with bags. Trick or treat. What am I supposed to give a 25-year-old candy? And of course, they look like they're going to shoot you if you don't. So you give them their Snickers bar or their Kit Kat. I like giving away candy bars. I don't give away like M&Ms or Skittles or anything like that. I like candy bars. Butterfingers. Butterfingers always go over well. Everybody likes Butterfinger. But and actually, when I was a kid, I liked Twizzlers. Anytime I would get a little pack of Twizzlers, like the strawberry flavored ones, that was like gold. I would trade away candy bars for Twizzlers. So maybe maybe you have a favorite Halloween candy you want to talk about. 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292 outside of Delaware, and pound 927 on Verizon Wireless. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon dealer. So, yeah, I like the idea of the kids getting dressed up and having fun, but it's turned into something else. And, the kids now, it's almost turned into how much loot can you get, and the parents are part of it now. And it used to be, I know times are different and things aren't, as safe as they used to be. But when I was a kid, once I got to be, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 years old, the parents wouldn't go along, or they would like stand at the end of the block and let you go up the block, with your bunch of friends. You'd get 4 or 5 friends. You'd go to each door together. So, you're not going to get abducted or anything. You have power in numbers, plus there's a parent, maybe 100 feet away. They don't stand there at the door with you holding the bag. I mean, I've seen some of these kids so lazy, they have their parents holding the bag for them. And when they get home, the parents are going to dig out all the best candy. And I just think the parents have ruined what used to be a fun holiday. And it's a shame. And, they got especially when I have lived in nicer neighborhoods, the parents from the not so good neighborhoods would load up a whole van load of kids and come and drop them off in the nice neighborhood. And I've never seen these kids before. Where are they coming from? And maybe that's one of the advantages of living in the bad neighborhood. Like when I lived in Wilmington, I didn't have that problem, and no imported kids. But I don't know. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. That's a free call, courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon dealer. And just on the flip side of it, I actually have no problem at all with adults dressing up in costumes, having costume parties. I haven't done one myself in many years, but I always dressed up as a gangster because everybody has a suit laying around. You get a plastic Tommy gun. You're a gangster. Maybe get a little fedora, put it on your head, and I need to find one that's big enough for my huge skull. But once I find that, I got the perfect gangster costume. And every year I was a gangster. But no Halloween parties this year. I might actually end up being here at the station, so you never know. If that's the case, I'll dress up and turn on Jared's webcam so you can see me. So, we'll still take some calls on that if you have any comments. We're going to go into got a few stories about the NFL since it is Sunday. I would be remiss in not talking about the NFL, especially since, like last week, I wasn't on Jared's show since he had a remote, and didn't get to give my NFL picks. We'll go through, since the first half of the games are already going on. I'm gonna keep my picks the same, so you'll see. I'm probably half of them wrong already, but let's take a call. And
hey, Don.
Looks like David from Georgetown. How you doing today?
Okay, Don. How you doing?
Oh, not bad, not bad.
Okay, I just wanted to mention a couple of traditions that my wife and I had in Maryland when the kids were little. We always used to feed them a very good meal several hours before they used to go out to trick-or-treat. And the meal was scrambled eggs, an orange, and maybe a little glass of milk before they went out trick-or-treating, because we knew that when they came back, they wanted to eat the candy. And then when the kids came back, they always used to love to sit around the dining room table and sort out their candies. Chocolates, chewables, suckables, like lollipops and sweet tarts and things like that. And, of course, the adults, my wife and I would always take the good ones sometimes. But that's just 2 traditions, the scrambled eggs and orange slices. And then when the kids would come back, they would sort out their candies, and they loved that.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a great idea, the meal beforehand. And
yep.
and breakfast for dinner is always a good idea. I don't care what it is. Breakfast for dinner, I could eat breakfast 3 meals a day.
Yep.
And yeah, that's a good idea. So when they get back, they don't gorge themselves on chocolate and get sick.
Yeah.
It's almost the same concept as not going to the grocery store with an empty stomach.
That's right. And I remember when I was a child, many years ago, in maybe 1st or 2nd grade or 3rd grade, whatever it was, I used to dress up as Humpty Dumpty. Remember Humpty Dumpty?
Oh, absolutely.
With a yellow and red and orange outfit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, Thank you, Don.
Oh, thank you, David, and
Bye.
have a happy Halloween. If I don't,
You too.
if I
Bye.
don't, yeah. And yeah, I mean that's actually a really good idea. I mean, my kid's too old to trick or treat now. I mean, she still dresses up for Halloween, but yeah, she's too old to trick or treat. So, but yeah, I mean that's a really good idea. And the other thing that David brought up, that at least what I used to do when I was a kid with my friends, is we'd separate all the candies, and then if I had something that I liked and my brother had something that he didn't like, we could trade back and forth, and we had almost our own little free market economy running without any help from parents or government or anything like that. We had our own free market economy. Everybody was happy at the end, and it was just fun times. And I think the fun's been taken out of Halloween. It's kind of a shame. Let's go back to the phones. And hello, you're on WGMD.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Halloween is where the name came from. It's the day before, the evening before All Saints' Day, which is November the 1st. And Halloween, the word Halloween comes from All Hallowed Evening, or the evening before the holy day, and the holy day is All Saints' Day, which is November the 1st. So it's the Hallowed Eve, or the Hallowed Evening.
Oh yeah. Originally, All Saints' Day was the more important holiday, and it just kind of shifted towards I mean, how things shift towards a more secular thing. I mean, Halloween, originally wasn't the important day, but I guess it just shifted to that way over time.
And it's a shame that that's what's happened, but a friend of mine can't make a meeting on November the 1st, a pretty important meeting, because she's in the choir, and she's going to a service for All Saints' Day, and that's tremendously important to her, and I recognize that completely. But boy, I wonder how many people are skipping important things so that they can go out trick or treat.
Yeah. I mean, and these days, a lot of times, a lot of towns will actually have the trick or treat on different days than the 31st now, especially if the 31st falls during the week. They might have it, the Friday or Saturday before, or maybe 1 or 2 days before, just in case, because the town wants to, I guess the town wants it all to happen at one time, so they can kind of keep an eye on the kids, and that's why they do it. From 6 to 8 p.m.
I used to work as a doorman at a nightclub, and they used to have Halloween parties there. And adults would come in, and they would be all dressed up, trying to win prizes, best costume. And it never ceased to amaze me that it seemed like a good excuse for grown people to dress up as complete idiots. And they had a lot of fun out of it. Some of the women would dress up in some of the most provocative clothing, which was fun for them, I guess. But
oh yeah,
it is a fun night for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, adult Halloween has always been the excuse for women to wear skimpy clothing, and women that wouldn't normally otherwise wear it. Otherwise, shy or shy women actually end up wearing these skimpy things. They'll wear bikinis and everything else that they wouldn't even wear a bikini to the beach. And
you're right. And some women are wearing stuff that they probably shouldn't wear. Not only would they never wear it, but they shouldn't wear it.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, as long as they're having fun and not hurting anybody, I guess it's
Everything goes in America these days. That's for sure.
Yep. As long as the kids don't start dressing that way, then we got a problem.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks.
Good show.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. Thank you. And with that, we're going to take a short break. Got a few important messages. We'll come back. We can keep talking about Halloween. I'll get into a little bit of the NFL, kind of read some scores for you, keep you up to date on those. But any more Halloween calls are always welcome. And let's see what we got here.
Scary monsters, super freaks.
Scary monsters, super freaks. We'll be back right after this. 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. I am Don Carpenter, filling in for Steve Bryant. He'll be back next week, just having a little technical problems down there in Nashville. He's just fine. And we're talking about Halloween, and I actually started off with a question whether I'm a bad person because I basically run away from the kids on Halloween now. Because I just think they've turned into, rude, sniveling, little entitled punks. And I'm sure this year I'm probably going to get toilet papered and egg thrown at my house and everything else. It's never happened before, but I kind of have a feeling it's going to happen this year. Usually I go out and have a nice dinner that night, or go out and see friends and do adult things. My kid lives with my ex-wife, and she's also too old to trick or treat, so, my time in that is past. I've even done the thing where you take the big bowl and just fill it with candy and put it outside, and it lasts 10 minutes. One kid comes along and dumps the whole thing in his bag, and, it's kind of ruins it for everybody, and that kind of turned me off to everything as far as kids trick-or-treating. But I do still support adult, not trick-or-treating, but adult costumes and costume parties. I think that can still be fun, as long as it's, done in a tasteful way, I guess. As long as everybody's having fun. I see, I don't see people that spend tons of money on elaborate costumes. But during the break, I actually found the top 5 most wanted men's and women's costumes. And this is for 2011, so this is up to date. This is this year's top 10 most wanted costumes, broken up by men and women. First, we'll do the men's first. Number 5 is the Genie in the Lamp, and it's we'll just say it's an adult costume, and we'll leave it at that. You can get the picture in your mind. Although I will say, I don't know why he's wearing a leprechaun hat, but he's wearing a leprechaun hat. Number 4, Edward Scissorhands. Okay, from the movie, Johnny Depp with the big scissors on his hands. That seems like that would be a very elaborate costume, because he had like white pancake makeup, and he had these giant scissors on his hands. I guess they, the plastic scissors are probably a glove that you can put on, but the white pancake makeup, it was really thick. It would take a while, and my skin would just, I can't even imagine. It'd take me a month to get over that. Number 2, here's what the blogger that wrote this article says. It takes a braver man than me to even consider wearing this costume, yet it's fun, and you get some funny looks all night. Count Dracula, but here's the twist on it. Count Dracula has his victim with him, and his victim is an inflatable person. One of those inflatable people. Sometimes people use these inflatable women to get in the carpool lane. That's the best use for those things, really. Carpool lane, they're great for that. So yeah, I guess Dracula with his victim is number 2 this year. And number 1 is Krusty the Clown. Krusty the Clown's number. It says 2011. You think it would be like 1993, Krusty the Clown being number 1. I don't know where this guy's getting his numbers, but Krusty the Clown. And there's a picture of it, and it's a Krusty outfit. The guy's wearing blue jeans, purple shirt with a yellow undershirt, and a huge, ugly Krusty mask. Okay, the Dracula. Okay. And Hippie Dude was number 3. I don't know how I skipped that. Number 5 on the most wanted ladies' costumes is the Gothic Nymph. It's just a girl in a black mini dress with fairy wings. Number 4 is, let's see here, Batgirl. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know why Batgirl. I don't think there was a movie with Batgirl this year. Number 3, Race Car Girl. Just a skin tight bodysuit with low cut. Number 2, Twister Set. I don't know if I'd want to be the Twister board. Just people getting on top of me and like sticking their elbows and knees, and it'd be painful. But the costume itself is actually just a little skirt or a little dress, like a knee-length dress, made of a twister board with a little spinner thing stuck to her head. And number 1 is the Black Cat, which is just a skin-tight bodysuit and ears. So, anybody out there going to any Halloween parties and want to share any unique ideas for adult costumes, not kid costumes, adult costumes, 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. A free call, courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. With that, we're going to take another short break for Fox News, the marine weather, AccuWeather. We'll be back right after this with more Halloween, and I will get to my NFL picks and an NFL update. So stay right there. 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. This is Don Carpenter, Open Source Radio, filling in for Steve Bryant. He will be back next Sunday, just having some technical problems. And we're talking about Halloween costumes. I think I've pretty much exhausted all I have to say. If you still want to call in about that, any suggestions for adult Halloween costumes, or you want to call me a bad person for running from the children when it comes Halloween night. Oh, maybe we got maybe we got one here. Hello, you're on the air, WGMD.
Hey, Don. Good afternoon to you. Look, there's a couple of costumes that have always been really heavy duty. Well, not really, but my buddy does a Beetlejuice that is better than the real Beetlejuice out of Hollywood. I mean, he uses his own real hair. He paints his own suit and everything. He has won so much money all over the place. The Green Turtle, you name the place from Ocean City to Rehoboth. He kicks butt in it. Best Beetlejuice I've ever seen. I have a feeling that Elvis has always been really popular, and I think this year you're probably going to see a new rising of the Michael Jackson thriller-type costume deal, using Michael Jackson himself since, he has passed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been thinking zombie Michael Jackson.
There you go. That's the winner all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody likes zombies. Yeah, everybody likes zombies these days, and zombie Michael Jackson would be a hit, I think. And I think you're right about the makeup and stuff. I think makeup is always better than a mask or some store-bought thing. Like, if you can do good makeup, you're sure to win one of those contests.
Yeah, with a little imagination, and about $15 or $20, you can get glitter and all kinds of different there's special paints you can get, non-toxic paints and stuff. Around St. Patrick's Day, I do a leprechaun costume that I've got. And I go around, to some children's hospitals and stuff like that and try and raise a little cheer, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think I have more fun than the other ones, but when I was a kid growing up, I lived on military bases, so we, every 2 or 3 years we'd move to another base, and that was truly the best trick-or-treating you could get because everybody had clean candy. I mean, you could get anything from, the caramel popcorn balls in bags and candy apples.
Oh, they're the best.
Just really good stuff. Home-baked cookies and stuff like that. Money. Military bases were great, and we didn't have the fancy bags that you carried around or lanterns or anything like that or jack-o'-lanterns. We usually just grabbed a pillowcase.
Yeah,
took off with your white pillowcase. Everybody was cool. Your parents didn't have to follow you all around. I guess I'm giving up my age a little bit, but we'd come home with a pillowcase full of candy. After hitting half the neighborhood, and we'd go out again. And, it was a much more special time when you didn't have to worry about anybody dropping LSD, on a piece of candy. Or now I hear they're putting in the gummy bears and the chewy, worms and stuff. They're soaking them in vodka and put them in the kids' bags. I mean, what has gone wrong with our society where we can't, have some traditional American fun?
Yeah, see, now, like the gummy bear thing would be fun for an adult party, but why would you, well, I mean, there's just psychopaths everywhere these days, and, and I think a lot of it might be that the media kind of spurs it on, but it's like a dirty cycle. Like the media will report on the story, then some sicko somewhere sees this and, well, I can do that, and does it, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. And I'd imagine growing up on a military base like you did, it was probably more of a family type atmosphere. I mean, a lot of military guys tend to have decent sized families, and they're all close because they all have something in common. And I mean, that's probably, my dad was in the military, but it was long before I was born, so I never really grew up in that environment. But from what I've seen, the military family environment is a pretty good community, and that's one place I wouldn't be afraid of my kid getting a candied apple.
Absolutely. The times have changed, and like you said, usually you'd stay in your own neighborhood, and now people do go out of their neighborhoods to go to a better neighborhood. I live in a really nice community now, and I decorate the house and everything basically because I have 6-year-old grandson, and I get maybe 2 or 3 trick-or-treaters. And so when the trick-or-treater comes up to my house, I know that he's probably going to be maybe the only one.
Yeah.
So I'll give him like half the bowl, and it's good candy, and it's, top-notch. So anybody out there, if you come around here, you're going to get the good treat.
And, well, I won't divulge where you're at then.
Yeah. I still won't get anybody. They'd have to travel a long ways to get a lot, and it's not happening. But, hey, good show, Don. I appreciate that you're bringing this stuff up.
Hey, well, thanks for calling. Thank you for calling. I appreciate that. And thanks for the kind words. It's, this is just something that I've been thinking about all week, and, it really has changed. I mean, like the caller said, the kids' expectations have changed as well. Like these days, the kids expect a full-size candy bar. They want, they want a king-size Butterfinger, and instead of little bite-sized ones, you can go to the dollar store and get a whole bag of them for $1. Now they want, a full-size, $1.49 at Wawa candy bar. Which, that's a story for another day, how a regular candy bar ends up being $1.50 now. But, well, we'll do that. We'll do that some other day. If they don't get kicked off the air for this one. But, I mean, it's Halloween. It's just interesting how Halloween has changed over the years. And, I mean, some of it's for the better. Some of it's for the worse. I mean, I think adults getting more involved in it with other adults, not getting involved in their kids, because the adults should stay out of their kids' Halloween activities as much as possible. Enough to keep them safe, but not enough to get in the way. Because, I mean, I know when I was 10 years old, I didn't want, my mom following me around. That's the worst thing that could have happened. My mom was a little overprotective anyway. And look how I turned out. I'm just an insecure guy on the radio. But, and we didn't have kids beating each other up for candy and all that stuff. But now, if the parents want to get involved, have their own parties, and that could be fun. And I fully support that. And, maybe I'll go check out some of the costume contests this year. I got my good camera with a bunch of new lenses I want to test out. Maybe I'll get some good pictures of people dressed up like... I want to find out where the Beetlejuice guy is. I want to see that. That's a really good costume. With that, we're going to take another short break. We'll be back right after these important messages and AccuWeather. I'll finally get to my NFL picks, and I'll bring you up to date on the scores. Got a couple NFL-related stories. Expansion team maybe in London, which is just odd. And a college student that could get a 1.5 years in jail for streaking during a football game. Yeah, that's what I thought. We'll be back right after this. 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. I'm Don Carpenter, filling in for Steve Bryant. He'll be back next Sunday on schedule. I'm with you here until 5 today, just doing 3 to 5, kind of a short show this week. You know, it's kind of an emergency notice thing. So just going over a few things. Nothing too deep today. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's beautiful outside. I mean, we're not going to talk about, you know, deficits and budgets and all that stuff. I mean, I do have one sort of politically related story, but that's only because it has a local twist to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother with it. And for right now, I mean, if anybody does, I mean, the way the show works is it's pretty much open phones. If you want to call about any subject that I've talked about any time in the show, feel free to derail me. I'll still take some Halloween calls. Right now, I'm going to go over my football picks for the week, since I didn't get to do them yesterday. I'll start off with the 1 o'clock games. I'm not even going to look at the scores. I have the scores up, but I'm not going to look at them. I'm going to give you my picks for the 1 o'clock games. Then I'm going to give you the scores, and we'll see how I'm doing. San Diego at the New York Jets. I picked San Diego. I picked Tampa Bay over Chicago. Picked Washington over Carolina. Picked Detroit over Atlanta. I picked Cleveland over Seattle, and I picked Denver over Miami and Houston over Tennessee. And that's it for the 1 o'clock games. So let's take a look at the scores right now. San Diego losing to the Jets. Tampa Bay losing to the Bears. Washington losing to the Panthers. Detroit losing to the Falcons. Seattle's losing to the Browns, so I got one right. Denver is losing to the Dolphins, the winless Dolphins. And Houston beat the Titans 41-7. It's already over. Wow. Okay, so 2 right out of the first half so far. I mean, things could change. Some of those games were close. Dolphins are beating the Broncos 15-7. The Jets lead the Chargers 26-21. Like I said, Houston beat Tennessee 41-7. Falcons are on top of the Lions 23-16. Panthers all over the Redskins 30-13. That's a surprise. The Redskins aren't that bad. The Bears are leading the Buccaneers 21-11. Okay, 2-3. Okay, Buccaneers got a safety in there. And right now the Browns are leading the Seahawks 6-3 in an offensive showcase. Okay, for the rest of the games of the week, I'll just go through these real quick. I picked Oakland over Kansas City, Pittsburgh over Arizona, Green Bay over Minnesota, St. Louis. I picked Dallas over St. Louis. That's all the games for 4:15 today. Tonight's game, I picked New Orleans over Indianapolis, although I think that'll be closer than most people think. And tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, Jacksonville hosting Baltimore. Of course, I picked Baltimore. So, with a few minutes left in the till the top of the hour. Actually, I have a question for the Eagles fans. I know we have a lot of Eagles fans out there in the audience. What game are you watching today? I know last week I didn't have a game to watch because I'm a Ravens fan. The Ravens had their bye last week, and actually the Redskins had their bye last week. So, I can't speak for Redskins fans, but I didn't really have a game that I was interested in. I mean, I kind of flipped back and forth, but I mostly just watched the highlights afterwards. I didn't watch any football live. Well, mainly because I was here for part of the time, but even Sunday night and Monday Night Football, I didn't watch the games live. I had no interest because the Ravens weren't playing. So, Eagles fans, you have a bye this week. What game are you watching right now? And hopefully you have the volume down and you're listening to this show, because that's the right thing to do. I mean, who wants to listen to TV? I mean, who wants to listen to football on TV? You can watch the football game, listen to WGMD. That's the way it should be done. And as I see, that's the way it's not being done, I guess, judging by the response. But, okay, I got just a couple little short stories here. The NFL, I guess London has actually been pushing for an expansion team. So this is a story from the NFL. It says the NFL is not interested in expanding to put a team in Los Angeles. Why? It's only the second largest city. Los Angeles just doesn't seem to want a team. But the NFL could be interested in growing by one in order to put a team in London. Chris Mortensen of ESPN reported during Sunday NFL Countdown that the team that is eventually placed in London could be an expansion team. I'm thinking London Jaguars. Moore also said the base of operations for a possible developmental league that would play at a single location on the East Coast could also serve as the home away from home for the London team when it could come to the United States for 2 or 3 road games at a time. The possibility of an expansion team in London raises the question of whether it would be 1 team or 2 teams that would be added to the league at this point, expanding to 34 teams and messing up the current format of 4 teams in 8 divisions. No more expansion. We don't need any more expansion. No more expansion, please. But this actually kind of reminds me of a situation I found myself in last night. And I consider myself somewhat of a decent amateur photographer. I have a pretty good camera setup, and I went to a roller derby match last night, and I found myself not knowing where to be to get pictures of the action. And the way that, how am I tying this into football? Well, think about it. Football is a very confusing sport, even for Americans. Can you imagine British? They wouldn't know when to cheer, they would obviously know when the easy cheers are, like when there's a long bomb thrown or a breakaway punt return or something like that. But I don't think they would understand a good block, good fullback block where the fullback just pancakes a linebacker and just knocks him on his butt. They wouldn't understand that, and they wouldn't know to cheer it. And I think that kind of misunderstanding, like in my case with the roller derby last night, I didn't know, I didn't understand when they were swapping out players. They do line shifts like hockey. I played hockey, but it's something completely different than that. And, I found myself trying to stand in the corners to try to get action shots, and it was really tough to know when the action shot was going to be. And, it's just, watching a sport and trying to understand it is really a hard way to enjoy it. And I think the investment that would be involved in putting an NFL team in London, I just don't see it working. The World League. That's what I guess it's called NFL Europe now, if it's still around. Well, I got a short little story before the top of the hour, and Fox News and AccuWeather. But this is a story from CBS, and let's see, we got a music bed. Music bed makes everything better. Yeah. Jace Lankow, an undergraduate at University of Arizona, could face up to 1.5 years in jail after being charged with a Class 6 felony for criminal impersonation. Lankow dressed up as a referee and ran onto the field at Arizona Stadium on Thursday night during a football game featuring the Wildcats and the UCLA Bruins. While he was streaking, I guess he took his clothes off at some point, a brawl ensued between the 2 Pac-12 South schools, resulting in 10 players being suspended by the conference. Oops. The conference is extremely disappointed in the actions of the student athletes involved in this incident, Commissioner Larry Scott said in a statement. It's unacceptable behavior and violated conference rules, as well as NCAA fighting rules. They have fighting rules? I guess that means no fights. I have taken these actions today because it is imperative that we hold our student athletes and coaches to the highest standards of sportsmanship. Bruins wide receiver Taylor Embry and Arizona cornerback Shaquille Richardson were penalized by game officials for unsportsmanlike conduct and ejected from the contest for fighting with 4 seconds left in the first half. They will both have to sit out 1 additional game. UCLA tackle Cassius Marsh was given a 2-game ban, while receivers Randall Carroll, Shaq Evans, and Ricky Maravay each received a game. Guard Alberto Sid will sit for a half. A couple more suspensions listed. Suspensions will occur during each school's next scheduled game. And all of this caused by a streaker. You just never know. You never know. Open Source Radio, I'm Don Carpenter. This is 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. We'll be back. 92.7 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. Welcome back. This is Open Source Radio. I'm Don Carpenter, filling in for Steve Bryant. I'll be here with you for another hour. Then Angel Clark will be on right after me, so make sure you stay tuned. Okay, we spent the last hour talking about football and Halloween and all kinds of fun stuff. I figured the second hour, at least some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is a little bit more serious. I know I probably don't do enough serious stuff, but this has a local angle, so I figured I'd give you the chance to weigh in on it. And once I start talking about what the subject is, you'll know. And 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. Fisker Automobiles. And I'm sure everybody else has talked about him, ad nauseum by now. But hopefully I have a little bit of a different perspective. And, maybe you didn't get a chance to chime in on one of the other host shows. This is your chance. This is a story from Fox News from yesterday. Let's see. This is actually a story from Friday. These fun stories always come out on Fridays. The Department of Energy is standing by a $529 million loan guarantee to a company building an electric car line in Finland. A department official, in a lengthy response posted on a governmental blog Thursday night, confirmed that the company Fisker is assembling its Karma electric car at its overseas facility. Now, anybody that's been following this case remembers that they said from the beginning they were going to build this car in Finland. The factory that they're going to use to build it used to be used to build Porsche Boxster cars, and I guess Porsche either moved the production back to Germany or they discontinued the Boxster. I can't remember. I don't know my German cars that well, but this factory has been there for a while, and it's a high-tech factory. It's fine. I mean, I'm sure they can build this car there, and that's been the plan all along. And they actually said it at first. I mean, when we actually heard the story, it was kind of buried. It was always at the bottom of the story. They're going to build this car in Finland, and then they're going to build another one in the plant in Wilmington. That's where the local connection is. Anybody that's been to Wilmington knows that there's a huge empty General Motors plant in Wilmington. It's right beside the Walmart on Boxwood Road, right off Route 141, Wilmington, near Ellesmere. I actually used to live half a mile from this factory. I'd passed it every day. It's just a decrepit old factory. It's got weeds growing in the parking lot now, and it's going to take a lot of work. And they said that. I mean, the first part of the loan, $169 million, supported engineering work at Fisker's U.S. facilities as the company developed the tools, equipment, and manufacturing processes for their first vehicle, although that work has not contributed to a production line in the United States. So they spent all that money, but there's no production line here. And the factory's still sitting empty. I mean, I drove past it yesterday, just out of curiosity. I was up that way for something else, but I drove past the factory yesterday, and it looks the same as it did 3 years ago. And you got to remember, this is the factory that produced such winning cars as the Chevette and the Chevy Corsica. So yeah, this is, it's obviously it's going to need a lot of retooling to build some high-tech electric car. And the one being built in Finland is actually the $90,000 model. The one that they claim that they're going to start building in Delaware in 2013, I think the price point on it's only, quote-unquote, only $58,000, which makes the $51,000 Volt. Oh, it sounds like a good deal. Jeez. What do they fear? Nobody's buying these things. Okay, back to the article. Fisker is using this funding to bring a shuttered General Motors plant in Delaware back to life and employing more than 2,500 workers. Yeah, where are they? Fisker was attracted to this site by the opportunity to rehire some of the trained, dedicated workers who lost their jobs when that plant closed. The department later clarified that 120 workers had been hired at the site to date, with the rest to be hired by early 2013. You know what else is happening in early 2013, like in January? For the Karma line, founder Henrik Fisker, I went there, reportedly claimed that the company could not find a manufacturer in the U.S. for the job. Okay, fine. Don't take the money. It's simple as that. So the production went to Finnish company Valmet Automotive along with 500 manufacturing jobs. Now, why does it take 500 Finnish people to build a car, a $90,000 car, but it takes 2,500 Delawareans to build a $50,000 car? I mean, does it take 5 times as many people to build a cheaper car? I guess maybe higher production. Maybe that's the case. They're going to make 5 times as many, maybe, and 5 times as many will sit unsold on lots. However, there were no contract manufacturers like Valmet in the U.S., and none of the established domestic automakers were willing to partner with Fisker to provide an manufacturing option in the United States that would work for the Karma. Well, because they know it's not going to work. I mean, it's bad enough that they're stuck with the Volt now. Really. The development comes amid widespread scrutiny of the Obama administration's loan programs for alternative energy companies and projects, the bankruptcy of government-backed solar panel firm Solyndra in September touched off a frenzy of questions on Capitol Hill on whether U.S. taxpayer money is being used to widely prop up the industry, or being used wisely to prop up the industry. You know, there would be an easy way to solve all this and just not give these companies money. Who am I? I mean, it seems like the easy solution. Agree, disagree? 1-800-518-9292 outside of Delaware. Inside Delaware, 945-9292, pound 927. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your Verizon Wireless dealer. The ABC News report noted the political contributions enjoyed by Fisker and another company, Tesla Motors, which received together about $1 billion in loans. $1 billion with the B. Fisker reportedly is backed by a firm that includes Vice President Al Gore among its partners. He sure is in on every one of these. He seems to be in every one of these green energy scams. He's like a bad penny. He just keeps turning up. Let's go to the phones. You're on WGMD.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just curious about one thing. You did say this was a loan?
Yes, it's a loan.
Okay, so the money will be paid back?
Well, Solyndra...
With interest?
Solyndra...
I'm talking about this, the car. I'm not talking about the other boondoggle.
Well, yeah. I mean,
we don't know yet that this money is not going to be paid back with interest. So we may end up making money on this.
Since when? Anything's possible, but when's the last time the government...
I just wanted to make sure, because you keep on saying we gave the money.
Well,
I'd rather you say we loaned the money. I'm hoping that they pay it back. That would all be nice, but keep in mind it's a loan.
Be honest now. Do you expect them to succeed and pay back the money?
How do we know that? We don't know that.
Do you know
honestly and truly don't. I'm just called to make one point. It is a loan.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll make money on it.
Okay. Cylinder was a loan.
But, yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
That's not what this subject is.
Yeah. Well, it's my show. It's my show. If you want to have a yeah. Okay. Fine. You want to hang up on me? You want to hit and run? Fine. But it's my show, and guess what? This loan, I can guarantee you, I would bet you every dollar I have in my pocket that this loan will not get paid back. Solyndra was a loan. General Motors, they had to fudge their books to quote-unquote pay back the loan. They paid back the loan and then took out another loan to pay back that loan so they could say they paid it back. If we didn't keep giving money to these people, we wouldn't have to worry about if they're going to pay it back. If their company is so good that they can produce such a great product, if their company can make a good product, somebody will give them the loan to build the car. I mean, it's not that hard to understand. I mean, I don't see Bill Gates or Steve Jobs asking for money, federal loans, and they have a much more risky product when they started. They found people to invest in their businesses. It's not the business of the government to be giving loans to people because they never get paid back. They just don't get paid back. And with that, we're going to take a little short break. We'll be right back after this.
As a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan, joining IAVA.org really helps in the transition home. It's a network of OIF and OEF vets like me who've got your back here, just like we did over there. That means when you need help navigating the GI Bill, we've got your back. And when you're dealing with the transition home, we've got your back. Or when you just want someone to share stories with, we've got your back. Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America is there for you. Join our community at IAVA.org. We've got your back.
Brought to you by IAVA and the Ad Council.
What if your brother
or your husband?
What if your son came back from the service with a spinal cord injury?
When they volunteer to serve, we expect our country to be there for them if they are injured.
For more than 60 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has been fighting to ensure that we receive all of the benefits that we've earned.
Thank you, Paralyzed Veterans, for helping my husband.
My son.
For helping my brother.
You too can help. Visit PVA.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
This is your local Weather Channel with AccuWeather 24 hours a day. 92.7 WGMD.
This WGMD 92.7 AccuWeather is brought to you by Boulevard, Ford Lincoln Mercury in Georgetown, Lewis, and BoulevardAuto.com.
Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 43. Times of clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a nice afternoon, high 68. An evening shower in spots, otherwise clear to partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 48. And on Tuesday, another nice day with plenty of sunshine, high 67. For WGMD's exclusive AccuWeather, this is meteorologist Carl Erickson.
Hi, this is Dan, inviting you to join me every Friday morning on the Dan Gaffney Morning Show from Bridgeville, Delaware at the world-famous Jimmy's Grill. Right on Route 13, we broadcast live this Friday morning.
That's right, Dan. We'll be talking about all the different ways Jimmy's Grill in Bridgeville can help with holiday parties. We cater parties from 50 to 2,000, and we deliver anywhere. Plus, we'll be talking about Outlet Liquors in Rehoboth, where we have a large variety of wine and spirits available for every party.
Other great sponsors will be there as well.
Hey Dan, Jim Weller here, and I'll also be joining you live on Fridays at Jimmy's with some of my fabulous money-saving on-air specials. Check out Wellers.com.
This Friday, don't miss commentaries from Eric Bodenweiser. Come on out for the best breakfast you've had in a long time, I guarantee that, at Jimmy's Grill. Route 13 Bridgeville, the Gaffney Morning Show, 5:30 a.m. till 9, right here on 92.7 WGMD.
.927 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. Federal loan-free radio right here. Okay, back into the discussion. See, this is why I don't do these kind of stories. It's tough. It's tough. The second half of the story, this is a story directly relating to the plant in Wilmington. Fisker Automotive will not begin high-volume production of its second line of hybrids in Delaware until mid-2013, company executives said on Wednesday. The Anaheim-based Fisker, which recently received regulatory clearance to sell its $100,000 Karma sedan, plans to build its second line, the Nina, at a Newport area plant. Prototypes are planned for next year. This is from the News Journal. The company continues to say, it will employ 2,500 people in Delaware, including contractors and suppliers. Chief Operating Officer Bernhard Kohler said that employment target a condition of $21.5 million incentive package from the state is a conservative estimate. Yeah. So they got money. Well, they didn't. It was an incentive from the state. So I don't know if it's a tax cut or they actually got money as a loan or a gift or grant, whatever. Somehow there's a 21.5 on top of the 529 million. So 21.5 million from the state. So let's see. What's the math on that? 2,500. Let's do the math on that. I'm not very good at math. So let's see. 21.5 million. Oops. 215 divided by 2,500. So just the just the state part now. Just the state part. It's going to cost $8,600 a job, which I mean that's not too terribly bad, if it pans out. But we can always have hope, right? We can always have hope. It'll pan out. They always do, right? That's Cylinder. The company currently has more than 120 workers, including contractors in the plant, and is hiring electrical and mechanical workers to refurbish equipment left behind by General Motors, the previous owner. They must not work on Saturdays, because I didn't see any cars in the parking lot yesterday. Fisker plans production of its Nina line to reach 100,000 cars, but executives would not disclose a timeline. Yeah, of course not. CEO Henrik Fisker dismissed analyst concerns that his target is too high. So it's not just me, it's analysts. I mean, I don't know who these analysts are, but I'm sure they know more than me. I'm just a radio guy. Analysts have to look at it from a different perspective, noting that the Karma, which is powered by gas and electric battery, is unique in the market. There's no perspective for it. We've made it. We're delivering cars. Yeah, it's a $100,000 electric car. That is unique. We've already defied the analysts a couple of times, Fisker said. I've never seen one of their cars yet. Fisker executives were in Washington for a meeting with the U.S. Department of Energy, which has loaned the company $529 million. They brought 3 Karmas along for test drives. The company is delivering its first batch of Karmas to U.S. dealers, including Union Park Automotive in Wilmington. The Environmental Protection Agency cleared way for the Karma sales with the release of an official fuel economy rating of 52 miles per gallon. That includes 32 miles on one full electric charge, less than the 50 miles Fisker has touted. Oh, you mean they exaggerated? Oh, no, they can't exaggerate. It's difficult to predict whether a lower rating will affect sales, and company officials largely dismissed those concerns on Wednesday. Chief Financial Officer Joseph Demore said the company is filing 1,600 orders, not including several hundred deposit holders. And the only name I've seen for people that have bought one of these things so far is Leonardo DiCaprio, who's great actor. He's one of my favorite actors, but I don't know if I'd trust him on car advice. He played Howard Hughes. I guess he knows about airplanes, and maybe he knows about cars too. I guess if you're looking to buy this car to get off gasoline, you might be a little bit disappointed, said John Gartner, an analyst at Pike Research. Of course, it's a performance vehicle, and performance vehicles are neither engineered nor purchased for their fuel economy. It's a gimmick. Okay, that's fine. It's a gimmick. I don't even mind that it's $100,000. I mean, if that's what it takes to build the thing, fine. But if it's such a great performance car, why are we loaning? I caught myself there. I'll try to play along. Why are we loaning this risky company this money? Demore would not comment on what many have suspected is the company's next move, an initial public offering in its stock. Fisker has raised more than $1 billion in public and private funds and is seeking $150 million more from investors. So they have gotten some private funding. Oh yeah, that's right. The private funding came from Al Gore's firm. No connection there. No connection there at all. None at all. When somebody like me, who, I follow politics, but I'm fairly cynical. I kind of take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to politics. When someone like me notices things like this, it's got to be glaringly obvious that this is going to be the next Cylindra. They might as well stick Cylindra solar cells on the plant. maybe they'll save some money, combine two corrupt donor companies. Still have a couple minutes before the bottom of the hour break. Then I promise we'll move on to something a little bit more fun. 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. Free call, courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. If you want to call in and tell me I'm completely wrong, I'll certainly listen, and I won't even hang up on you. Otherwise, every time I drive up and down Route 1 to come to work, or going to Rehoboth Beach, or going to Dewey or something like that, I pass by the Chevy dealer, and the same Chevy Volt has been sitting there for almost a year. And now, if you remember, we actually had a picture of the price sticker on this car. We had it on the website. I'm sure it's still there if you did a search for Chevy Volt. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to do that. You got to remember, the Chevy Volt's original sticker price was $41,000, and the government offers a $7,500 incentive. Now, what's the obvious thing to do? Jack the price up by $7,500, and that's what some dealers are doing. And let's see here. Let's see. Here we go. Chevy Volt. This is a story from last April, and I'm pretty sure this is the same Volt that's still sitting there now. It's black in color. It's actually a nice looking car. I like the way the car looks. And to be honest, Chevy's building decent quality vehicles now. They have been for the past 5 or 6 years. I wouldn't buy one just out of principle because of the whole bailout thing, but they really aren't building bad cars. I'm sure the Volt's actually a good car, but it's also $48,700, and you could buy 2 Priuses for that. And as good as the Volt may be, the Prius is a better car with a better reliability record. Toyota, just in general, has a better record for that kind of stuff. Except for the whole gas pedal thing, but I'm not sure how much of that was Toyota's fault. And with that, we're going to take another short break. We'll catch up on Fox News, AccuWeather, a couple other important messages, and we'll be back with, we'll do this one next. Ricky Gervais in trouble again for something he said. What a surprise. We'll be back.
From Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, this is WGMD Radio.
.927 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. I'm Don Carpenter, Open Source Radio, filling in for Steve Bryant. He will be back next week, I promise. He's just having a little technical problem. He's fine. So don't worry about Steve. He'll be back. And you won't have to listen to me talk about loans and giving money away and all that stuff again. So, yeah, Ricky Gervais is in trouble again. Of course, everybody knows, the original creator of the British version of The Office, Extras. He's been in a bunch of movies now. He's a great stand-up comic. Just a funny guy. And he's just got this bad habit of saying things that are inappropriate. And once again, he's stuck his foot in his mouth. Ricky Gervais has admitted he was naive to use a derogatory word associated with Down syndrome in his online blog after speaking to a mother of 2 disabled daughters. The Office creator outraged campaigners earlier this week by posting the word Mong on his Twitter.com page, but refused to apologize. He branded his critics humorless and insisted he did not use the word in a way of describing those with Down syndrome. But after Nicola Clark, a mother of 2 disabled daughters, broke down on BBC Radio 2 while discussing how her children were regularly called that name in public. I mean, I know they use different names over there, but I thought the word that they used over there was mental, but I could be wrong. Gervais contacted her through Twitter to apologize. He then answered her questions publicly on his page, and when asked if he understood why the term upset people and how he felt now, he replied, "I do now. Never dreamed that idiots still use that word aimed at people with Down syndrome. I find it hard to believe. I feel that a confusion of anger, terror, and disappointment, but mostly naive. Never meant the word like that." I don't know how genuine he's being. I mean, I don't know anybody that uses that word, but I know what the word means. It means somebody with Down syndrome. I mean, in the old days, they were called mongoloids, which, I mean, is obviously it's not obviously not a good term to use, but it was a term. It was actually used because a person with Down syndrome, sometimes they have droopy eyelids, and someone at some point, some ignorant fool thought that reminded him of of a person from Mongolia, and that's how the name came about. But maybe Ricky Gervais doesn't know that. I mean, I know I have a lot of obscure knowledge, but I don't think I'm smarter than Ricky Gervais. But when he asked her for opinion on him after they discussed the matter, she replied, "I think that had I not spoken to you, I would have believed that you're a bully. The tweets seemed out of step with your work." His work is all non-politically correct humor. I mean, he doesn't use, he doesn't use racial slurs or any other, he doesn't use words like that, but he definitely is not politically correct. And if you watch his second show, Extras, it was on HBO, it was on BBC as well. Each episode, he's getting in a situation like this, and now he's getting in this situation in real life. I can't remember what affliction he gets in trouble with on the show Extras, but I think even in The Office he got in trouble for a racial joke, we'll just say, that was horribly inappropriate. And since they, a BBC 4, as the channel was on, it's basically a cable channel. It was a little bit, you can't play it on the air here, but it was definitely a horribly racist joke. So this isn't new to him, and I don't know why anybody would expect any different. I mean, I'm glad that he's apologized for it, but it's a pattern. I mean, he'll say something, stick his foot in his mouth, apologize. 2 months later, he'll say something again, and sometimes it's funny. I can't see how. I didn't see the post, so I don't know the context, but I can't see how this one would have been funny. So maybe he just struck out on that one. But good for him for apologizing. And moving on, more than half of Americans didn't dine out at all last year. I'll read that again. More than half of all Americans say they've recently gone a year without dining out, in what may be one of the clearest reflections yet of how the listless economy is restricting choices for consumers. This is a story from the Huffington Post, of all places. Only 49.3% of adults say they've dined out between fall 2009 and fall 2010, according to recently released figures from the U.S. Census Bureau. That's the lowest percentage since 2007, when just 48.7% of adults said they had dined out in the past year. So I can't picture that. I eat way too much fast food, for one thing, but I eat out constantly. And, maybe it's being a single guy, I don't find it productive to cook for myself. Maybe being a single guy, I'm lazy. There's probably a little bit of both. I just can't fathom not eating out in over a year. Is there anybody out there that is in this 49? Obviously there's 49%. So right now, by statistics, half of our listeners have not eaten in a restaurant in a year. at least a year, if not more. So 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. When's the last time you ate out? Obviously, if it's yesterday, like it was for me, that's not really worth calling. But I want to hear from people that haven't eaten out in a year or more. And we can have some kind of competition here. No prize, but you could be the WGMD self-sufficient listener, not depending on. See, I'm actually a really good cook, and maybe there's people like me that eat out 4 or 5 times a week. Calls 945-9292, 1-800-518-9292, pound 927. That's a free call courtesy of Verizon Wireless and Atlantic Cellular, your authorized Verizon Wireless dealer. 49%. That just seems high, and I don't know anybody that hasn't eaten out in a year. My dad's probably the most self-sufficient person that I know, and he still eats out maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks. So he's still eating out at least 10 times a year. And this is the guy, my stepmother actually hoards food. She hoards. They have a four bedroom house. 3 of the bedrooms are full of canned goods, frozen. Freezers full of frozen goods, and whole rooms full of boxes of cereal and other foods. And she rotates through the stuff, and when it's almost close to expiration date, she takes it to food banks. But they hoard food. I hate to say my dad does, but they could eat at home on their own for 10 years if they had to. If there was a nuclear war, that's where I would be. I'd be in Dover, Pennsylvania right now. If there was a nuclear war, I'd be on my way to Dover, Pennsylvania, in the basement with all the stored supplies. And, we'd survive for like 10 years on this food. They freeze dried and everything. There's a huge garden in the back. And they still eat out at least once a month. I just can't fathom going a whole year without restaurant food. And apparently nobody else can either. So with that, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the last segment of the show. .927 WGMD, the talk of Delmarva. I'm Don Carpenter. This is Open Source Radio, and I'm filling in for Steve Bryant, who will be back next week. Don't worry, just having a little technical problems this weekend. Should be cleared up very soon. So, okay, the last story I covered was the fact that 49% of people haven't gone out to eat in over a year. Well, here's an opportunity. Maybe they should go out and eat. There's a good thing about going out and eat. John Bon Jovi has opened up a charity restaurant, and it's let's see here. It's a place called the Soul Kitchen in Red Bank, New Jersey, and it's the latest undertaken by his John Bon Jovi Soul Foundation, which has built 260 homes for low-income residents in recent years. Here's a quote from him. It says, "With the economic downturn, one of the things I noticed was that disposable income was one of the first things that went." Well, which ties to the last story. See, I have a plan for these things, even though I didn't find out until 20 minutes before the show that I was going to do one. Dining out. The family went to a restaurant, mom not having to cook, dad not having to clean up. A lot of memories were made around restaurant tables. When I learned that 1 in 6 people in this country goes to bed hungry, I thought this was the next phase of the foundation's work. This is Bon Jovi talking. And they actually started a soup kitchen, called it Lunch Break, at the nearby Catholic church. fed 80 to 120 people a day, and they called it the Soul Kitchen, okay? They brought with them the name to this new restaurant after a year and $250,000. The restaurant now rivals any of its competitors in trendy Red Bank, which is it's on the Jersey Shore, with entrees like cornmeal-crusted catfish with red beans and rice, grilled chicken breast with homemade basil mayo and rice pilaf, grilled salmon and soul seasonings, sour potato mash and sautéed greens, many of which have grown in the urban vegetable garden right outside the restaurant's doors. And Bon Jovi, who lives nearby in Middletown, is adamant about one thing. This is not a soup kitchen. You can come here with the dignity of linens and silver, and you're served a healthy, nutritious meal. This is not burgers and fries. There are also no prices on the menu. So if you want to come and make a difference, leave a 20 in the envelope at the table. If you can't afford to eat, you can bust the tables. You can wait the tables. You could work in the kitchen as a dishwasher or a sous chef. If you say to me, I'm not a people person, that's not a problem. We'll take you back to lunch break to volunteer with those people. If you don't want to volunteer with that, we'll take you to the food bank. So they got something for everybody to do. And what they do, I'm going to go off the page a little bit. What they do is, after you volunteer, they give you a gift certificate for a free meal. And if you actually can afford a meal and you want to actually help the foundation, you go and you pay what you want to pay. And of course, there are going to be some people that abuse it eventually, especially now that it's been publicized. There's going to be people that go and leave $1 in the envelope. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, this guy is doing things the right way. I mean, this is how you help people. And I think it's definitely a good thing. And the more people I know I don't agree with John Bon Jovi on political issues. I know that for sure. But he's doing the right thing here, and he's definitely going about it the right way. He's not taking loans from the taxpayers, and this place probably won't succeed. I mean, if it's like any other restaurant, 90% of restaurants fail. I mean, obviously it's got somebody, it's got a big name behind it who has a lot of money. So, you probably keep it going as long as you can, but without the support of regular people like us, it won't. So if you're in Red Bank, go to this place. It's the Soul Kitchen. Go there. And when I read these stories, it's always funny reading the comments online, where I get the stories at. I'll read some of the comments online just to kind of lighten things up here in the last few minutes of the show. Here's one guy says, I think this place is living on a prayer. Another says, sounds like a good place for a runaway. Here's one. I'll eat there for you. These 5 words I swear to you. Just be careful when you're washing dishes. The floor may be slippery when wet. Here's a response to the living on a prayer. It says, you'll just have to keep the faith. I bet the homeless folks that eat there have a nice day. Okay. If you get sick off the food, they might give you bad medicine. Okay, they're kind of petering out now. Not everybody gets the joke. And I think that's it for the John Bon Jovi puns. But I don't know. What do you think about this? I mean, would something like that work around here? I mean, I know we have the Just Soup Kitchen. Obviously the extreme home makeover actually helped them out, and they're probably going to do better because of that. I mean, but and I know a lot of celebrities come to this area to vacation. Maybe it's time for one of these celebrities to put up or shut up, like John Bon Jovi, and open a restaurant, like one of these charity restaurants. I mean, I would eat at the place all the time, given the chance. I mean, if I'm ever in Red Bank, I don't really find myself in the Jersey Shore that much, but if I'm ever in Red Bank, I'm definitely going to search this place out and eat there. Because, the guy's probably hiring great cooks. I mean, he's got the money. He's probably got a good menu, and from what I read, it sounds good. And more importantly, it's for a good cause. And in the end, that's, if it was burgers and fries, I'd still go there, just because the guy is doing the right thing. And with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. I want to thank everybody for listening today. I want to thank everybody here at the station for giving me the chance. I want to thank Steve, of course, for I've learned so much from the guy, and hopefully you get your phone line thing fixed, buddy, and we'll get to hear you next Sunday. And stay tuned for Angel Clark. She's up next. Have a good weekend. Go out and enjoy the weather, but stay tuned to WGMD.